What's up, Regina? We are back for the second episode of the Inside Regina Project. You guys liked us so much, we decided to make a second one.
We are super excited to be doing this. The first episode turned out really well. We have Scott Pettigrew here with us today. Really looking forward to get to know him.
So Scott's a local musician here in Regina, and he already in his short career, I guess we'll call it, has opened for some pretty big names, including Serena Ryder most recently. So Scott, we're really excited to have you on our show today.
Excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. So tell us a bit about yourself.
So I'm, as you said, I'm a musician. Do a variety of things. Singer-songwriter primarily is what I guess I'm most known for. I play lead guitar for a couple groups, including the Scott Richmond Band, which I'm pretty excited about. Really fantastic group. And I have a rock band called Prairie Gold, which is awesome.
And that's new, right?
Yeah, it's very new. Yeah.
So when did that debut?
The band formed in February. Josh Schnell and I, the drummer, we were kind of hanging out at Shan's Pub. Has a jam every Thursday night, and it's kind of become a bit of a hangout in the music community for I'd say not quite a year now. It kind of started back up. Valhalla, a good friend of mine, started it back up this past summer, and yeah, we met there, and we really kind of had a lot of musical chemistry. So he was originally the original plan was we were gonna have kind of like a blues band called Scott Pettigrew and the Cold Sweat, and that was gonna be our name. But
love it.
Right away, Josh had a lot of really great input on songwriting, and it kind of took a different direction. So instead of changing my solo project to fit what was happening, we just decided to create a whole new project altogether. And so that's what Prairie Gold is. And then when I'm not doing that, well, I'm still learning, but I engineer audio, so I record musicians and myself I have a studio space in just off of Broad Street in Regina.
So like a lot of musicians, they're very gifted in one area, right? They're very talented singer-songwriters, but not all of them are very, very technical, right? So how big is it to have that ability to be able to engineer and work around your own productions as well as help other artists with that?
Well, I think every artist has their own way of doing things. They have their own skill set. They have their own unique. I mean, that's what makes art so beautiful, is that everyone has their own approach. My approach is that I really like to get involved with the actual guts of the music, and I've always been really interested with actually making records and sound and audio and working with manipulating those things to achieve what you're hearing in your head. So I guess what I would say is that what I find for myself is that not having that ability to engineer audio or manipulate sound was kind of a barrier for me to achieve what I wanted, because I had such a clear vision of what I wanted in my head. And as I'm continuing to learn how to record myself and others in a studio setting, I feel it's been very empowering for me, and really helped me achieve the vision that I sought out to accomplish initially, which is really that musical vision that I had in my head, and being able to translate that into something that everyone can listen to.
So you're kind of a jack of all trades when it comes to playing, singing, producing.
That's true, man.
Yeah. What would you say that you're the best at, or what is your strength?
I think self-awareness is one of the hardest things for anybody to nail down. But one thing I would say is that what I've been doing the longest, and what I personally consider myself the most skilled at, and probably what I'm most confident in, is playing the guitar, actually, which is something that I've been doing since grade 4. Actually, initially I bought a 1937 Harmony archtop with a giant crack down the front of it for $1 at a garage sale. It wasn't my dollar. I didn't have any money. I was in my grandma's dollar. It was my grandma's dollar.
Wow.
And we bought that, and then I taught myself my own tunings and just some seriously questionable practice, but I got into grade 4, and my music teacher, or my school teacher, Mr. House, Jason House, had this fantastic Blues in the Schools program where I was able to get my hands on a real guitar that actually was like nice and played well, and
played some good music,
how to actually tune a guitar properly, and then, you know, some chords, and from there I really ran with it for a long time. And then I took some lessons on a little later in life from Chris Craig, who's a phenomenal instrumentalist. He not just a guitar player, he's one of those guys who can just pick up anything and just kill it. Like, he's one of those guys. And so I learned a lot from him for a while, but I would still consider myself to be largely a self-taught musician. But so yeah, I mean, long story short, I would say guitar is probably the thing that which may come as somewhat of a surprise to some people, because if you've heard my solo work exclusively, it's far more songwriting heavy, lyric heavy, and vocals heavy. I don't really do a lot of noodling per se on most of my stuff, but that's really what I am most confident. Prairie Gold is fantastic because it gives me a little more of an avenue that's a little more appropriate to do some more guitar heavy music.
What you enjoy.
Yeah.
So, like, walk us through what you've all done this past year, because you were at the Hill School of Business.
Yeah.
And said, screw that, I'm done. Yeah. And you took on music as basically your full-time job.
Yeah, pretty much.
So walk us through that decision.
So it wasn't really much of a decision. I mean, what happened was in August, I think, August or September, I got my first like real guaranteed paying gig at a bar, Shannon's Pub. Valhalla, who's now a good friend of mine, booked me. All right, and so I got the gig, and from there, and this is, I guess, just, you know, me recalling the events that unfolded. I subsequently got a lot more gigs. I recorded an album in August that came out at around the same time, with my friend Verity Moninger, who's incredibly talented, and essentially after that, things just really started picking up really quickly. And I honestly, looking back, I don't even really remember lots of what's happened in the past year.
Yeah.
So many shows, like just an overwhelming amount of performances. But the way for me that it's worked is that it seems that one show always leads to another. And every time I play, there's 2 or 3 people there who want to have me play at their thing. And then, so I play a show at the Capitol, and somebody's there, and they say, "Oh man, I loved your stuff. You got to play my wedding or my bar mitzvah or whatever."
Very
and then
cool.
you show there, you play there, and then there's 2. So it just like it's this whole kind of snowball effect. And that started happening in September, and then by about Christmas time, I looked at my booking schedule for January, and I was scheduled to play what was it? I think 19 shows in January. Wow. And that was not including January 1, because I actually played like 3 shows in the span of 2 days on New Year's Eve and the
wow.
night after.
So you're in demand.
Day. Well, it was just one of those things. Like, it was like, clearly I cannot do school.
Yeah.
And my parents were giving me a hard time to book my classes, and then it just became apparent that it wasn't a reality anymore. And I don't regret going to school. I think I learned a lot from the process, but I definitely don't regret dropping out.
That's
it's
good.
the best decision, the best big life decision I've ever made to date.
Well, and as a young, hustling musical entrepreneur in your case, and that's what it's all about, right? Is word of mouth and being in one place and then meeting other people and booking other shows.
Yeah,
so, I
for
mean,
sure. It's networking. I mean, what it is largely, but I think there's also something to be said for. I put an incredible amount of focus on my product, and I think of any trade, if you really focus a lot on your product and you're actually delivering to people,
good content.
if it's of a great quality, word of mouth will kind of work for you. It'll work for you, right? So if every time you play a show, you show up and you do a great job, and you're sober and you're enthusiastic and all that, it can really propel you and your career in ways that might surprise you. Certainly very much surprised me, and continues to do so.
Sam and I were talking earlier tonight about the importance of good content and putting effort into it and making sure that it's authentic and it's not just quickly slapped together and thrown out into the world, right? it's really valuable to sit down and put some hard work into the stuff that you're doing and making sure that it looks and it sounds good, right?
Because in the end, you can have the most hustle, you could be the hardest worker, and you could be the best practitioner, but if you don't have the the talent to actually draw the viewers or to make the people want to hear you, it's all for naught, right? And so I definitely get that, but I've heard your stuff. I personally have seen your studio, and I've seen some of your unreleased stuff, and it is gold. It is amazing. And on our show, we do like to we want to kind of help inspire people, right? So we want other people who look up to musicians here in Regina who are aspiring musicians. We want them to know how you got to where you are and what your plans are. So we do get a little personal here. So if you don't mind me asking, when you told your family, you're how old right now?
I turned 20 in January.
Turned 20 in January. So you told your family,
Oh my God. We're old.
Get that a lot.
Yeah, but even like you're so like talented, and you're very good at being in front of cameras and being in front of people. But when you told your family, you said, "Okay, I am dropping out of business school, and I'm going to pursue this." Yeah. Were they supportive? What was the thought around that?
They weren't surprised. It was kind of one of those things. I think they saw it coming, and I think the reality was that if I were to take that big of a life choice at an earlier stage in my career, I think it would have been a different conversation. But by the time I pulled the trigger on it, I was already on somewhat of a path to what many would define as relative success. I'm just being careful that, but I guess what I mean is that I had the shows lined up, and I had developed a lot of relationships that have since really paid off for me. And so it wasn't just like, I'm going to quit school and then try this out. It was like, I've been doing this for some time now, and I think now is the time to pull the trigger.
It's really nice when you get parents and siblings and partners that are supportive, right? Because I mean, doing what all of us do here, trying to create a business and start a name and just get the product out there, it can be really lonely sometimes when you don't have anybody backing you, or at least just, like, what are you working on today?
And there are times where that happens to everyone. I think especially as artists, there's a lot of people who endure a lot of doubt. Like my first record alone, like, largely is titled that because it was like my personal decision that I was no longer going to rely on anybody to get anything done for me. Like, I mean, Alone it's definitely not a defeatist concept of a name of an album. It's me and my guitar versus the world was really what it was supposed to be, and that's what it is. Cool. And I didn't get any grants,
I really cool,
didn't have any band. I put that record on my credit card, like, not literally, but like,
we get it,
exactly like that. Yeah. So when I say, Alone, that's what I mean. Like, it was me versus the world. And I think everybody in their lives, if they don't, I think it's really healthy to experience that and to be very comfortable with your own ability to control your future. So I think that's what that was about. But it can be lonely, but I think when you look at it with a sense of defeat or despair, it's really unnecessary. I think it should be fuel to your fire.
It's very debilitating to think about it in like in a poor me way, right? So
it's just not productive. At the end of the day, you have to look at the reality of what you're faced with, your goals, and how you're going to achieve those goals, right? And there are times when your goals are no longer attainable. People may get to the stages in their career where, okay, looks like I'm probably not going to be a musician anymore. Time to go back to school, but that's okay. But like, if your goal is to be a musician and you're not doing anything about it, and you have no course of action, and you're just, complaining about the industry or about your family not supporting you, or about anything, and you don't do anything, then that's when you get that unproductive, woe is me kind of attitude, right? Which isn't good for anybody, and it doesn't get anything done, and it doesn't move you forward in your life. You just dwell on that kind of negativity and just get lost in it, right? So, absolutely. Not a good plan. There
are people like that are out there, certainly, though. We know we work with them, we're friends with them.
I just encourage them to decide what it is they want to do.
You really just
and
have
take the
to,
necessary steps to achieve that.
yeah, you really just have to remember what you're doing and kind of tunnel vision everybody else, right? And
Yeah,
just
for sure.
focus on your own stuff.
And I mean, of course, it's really important to, seriously consider everyone's input in your life, especially the people closest to you, like your family, friends, mentors. But at the end of the day, you are the only person who has control of your
Yeah.
individual destiny.
Yeah.
And you have to have your own plan for your success, because no one's going to do that for you.
Absolutely.
Right? I think our generation sometimes have a hard time with that kind of a concept, because I think we're always kind of handheld
It's
through
a
a lot
little
of
bit
stuff.
of entitlement
And there's just a lot of like,
privilege
oh, I
that's
have a
going on
degree,
around.
therefore I should have a job. And that's just not the way the world works anymore. And it just, following those conventional paths does
Mhm.
not lead to the outcomes that are once advertised and still advertised,
Yeah,
frankly.
and I think it's so case by case, right? So like,
Yeah.
I think there's so many of us now that want to be entrepreneurs. They want to be like individuals. They want to have that individual success that comes. You see guys like Justin Bieber, or you see guys like Gary Vaynerchuk, and those people who are so prominent on social media, and all we see is the end result of how they got there. We don't necessarily see. Well, Justin Bieber, we kind of saw from when he was 13 to
We've
what he is
seen
today,
his career.
right? So we've seen his career progress. But for people that just kind of you feel like are overnight successes is never ever the case. No. And I don't like the idea of skipping from I don't like the idea of like saying, oh, today I'm now going to be a superstar. No. Why doesn't everyone love me?
Well, and Serena's a great example of that. Like Serena Ryder was not like she's a independent artist to this day. You know what I mean? Like she did things the same way in early days that I'm doing them now, and I have so much respect for her because of the way she's done it, the way she continues to do things, the amount of respect she has for her band and everything. Mm-hmm. And but there's a lot of people who would look at somebody like Serena because she's got a lot of fantastic radio friendly songs, and she does really good on the charts, and she has all of the telltale signs of a pop
successful
star, right?
Artist.
But she doesn't embody any of the negative traits that are often attributed to pop stars, and lots of them embody those traits. Don't get me wrong. Like there's a lot of asshole, mainly Frank these days, more pop country stars than anything. But like there's a lot of real dirtbags out there for sure.
Yeah.
But what I think a lot of people have, they have this like automatic thing like, oh, they're successful, they must be this, and that's like you can't think that way. It's just not fair. And yeah, somebody like Serena's a great example like that. Like she's super genuine, awesome, hardworking individual. She really treats the people around her fantastically.
Really
like lots of respect for her fans, for her band, for her management. Like I have tons of respect for her. Mm-hmm. Like so, I guess my point is I think a lot of people, it goes back to that like trying to drag people down who have success, and that's just a really toxic attitude. And I think lots of people think that way, but I would really discourage that kind of thought process. It's just very destructive. It doesn't really get you anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk a little bit about what Saskatchewan means to you. Why is it important for you to represent Saskatchewan in your business? Well,
I mean, I would never claim to be a representative necessarily of Saskatchewan. Okay. I feel when I'm representing myself, Saskatchewan's a very big part of that because it's my home. I think it probably always will be, frankly, in one way or another. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's where my family lives. It's where my heritage is. Like, I mean, my family's been here for a long time. Like, I don't really have anywhere else that I would consider to be home. And I think that with the music that I make, I'm just really true to that, and I don't try to emulate anything when I make my music. So I guess the whole Saskatchewan thing is not necessarily about trying to represent a place. It's representing myself in an authentic way, and Saskatchewan is a big part of who I am, whether I like it or not. It's really what it is, right? So I mean, I'm not. Obviously, the lead-off single off my record is called Saskatchewan. So, I mean, like, I'm flying the flag for sure. Yeah. But I'm not trying to position myself as somebody who speaks for Saskatchewan. Or the least of which, the music community in Saskatchewan, because we have an amazing and diverse scene right here in Regina in particular. Frankly, more so than Saskatoon even these days. Keep that on the download. But
we're not the Inside Saskatoon project.
I'm joking.
We're the Inside.
I am joking.
We can
about
diss Saskatoon on here.
No. I'm totally joking. There's a lot of fantastic music coming in. That was just totally a joke. But but in Saskatchewan we have so much amazing music going on here of every stripe. We've got incredible rock and roll bands. We've got some really amazing folk, just of every genre, any genre. It's all happening here. So I definitely don't claim to be the Saskatchewan sound, or I'm not trying to represent individually that scene. Of course, I'm a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm proud to be a product of it. But when I sing about Saskatchewan, when I speak about it, or I'm more so talking about it in its relation to myself more than anything as an artist. So
It's coming from a place of love.
for sure, it's not me trying to be the kingpin or anything remotely like that. You know what I mean? That's not my thought process at all.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome to hear, because, I think we've had this conversation before, but people need to love to represent Saskatchewan. They need
Absolutely.
to, to be proud to be from Saskatchewan. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I can't say that I'm from Saskatchewan because I'm not. I was born and raised in Ontario, so
Yeah.
I'm outside of this conversation. But being here for these past, what is it now, 8 years, being here in Saskatchewan, I feel like it's home, and I went from the classic Eastern culture of, why am I here? It's so flat, blah blah blah. To wow, this place is actually amazing. I absolutely love being here, and part of why I'm doing this whole thing is because there are so many great people here, like yourself, and being able to uncover that here in Saskatchewan and find the people who are proud to be here and proud to say they're proud to be here from here.
No, absolutely, and I think it's just we have a deep-seated insecurity here in Saskatchewan
Because
that
we're
we
so
really
judged.
we just really need to get rid of that. We just need to stop apologizing for it's just this whole thing. It's like, I'm from Saskatchewan, I know.
We're all
It's
on the
like you need to plant your flag. No, and you know what? This is who I am. This is where I'm from. And it's not about saying I'm better than this person or this place. It's just about getting rid of that old attitude of, Saskatchewan's past, where we used to try to cover up the fact that, this is where we're from, or this, that, and the other. And you should be proud. I think everyone should be proud of their roots and what made them the person that they are now.
Yeah.
And for me, it would be a total farce for me to claim anything other than this as my home and where my roots will always be, right? So that's, of course, it's going to be a huge thing, a huge part of who I am as an artist, or in anything I do, right? So I just think, and there's a lot of artists who just have this really insecure attitude about it, and they're always trying to bring in the work they're doing in Toronto or Nashville, and they're trying to disassociate themselves with Saskatchewan. Like, oh, I was just in Nashville last week doing this, and I was just in Toronto, and I was just in, as if not being here and working here somehow makes them better, and that attitude really pisses me off quite badly. It's a pet peeve of mine for sure. That whole they're better because they're not here kind of a thing is just really, it's frankly bullshit. It's just, there's no, you can't say that you're going to make a better record in Nashville because it's in Nashville. It makes no sense. If you look at what makes a good record, location has almost nothing to do with it. If you have a talented guy with good gear and good ears in Nairobi, he could make an amazing record for your country band there. It doesn't matter. Location is so, but we have this deep-seated insecurity that really just creates this super toxic, frequently trying to disassociate people themselves with where they're from, which is it's annoying.
So I think it's safe to say that we can just get over the fact that we're from Saskatchewan and accept that there's nothing wrong with this place, and that it's okay to do stuff here, right?
Yeah, celebrate it,
absolutely.
Because Saskatchewan, especially as an artist right now, we have some amazing artists coming out of Saskatchewan right now. For me, I think I'm in the right place at the right time as an artist. I don't want to be going to just this morning I was having breakfast with a guy from Toronto, and he was talking about what musicians get paid there, and what he pays for rent for his studio there, all these different things. And man, it's a horror story. It's a horror story.
Crazy.
Like, I mean, it's brutal. Like, these guys are playing, like, they're doing pay to play. Like, they're paying venues to let them play, which I didn't even know was a thing until recently. Just shows you how inexperienced I am with this business. And, you know, it's just like, what? This happens? And, like, the amount. So it's like all these. So for me, you know, when I look at the clear advantages of living and working here as a musician, like low rent, generally pretty competitive pay in comparison with other major city centers. The amount of amazing talent that's coming out of here right now, like Andy Schaaf, Coulter Wall, Casey and Clayton, like Berglund,
Scott Pettigrew.
Yeah, okay. Simmer down.
Shameless plug.
And I could go on for hours. I mean, like, I have so many friends who are just waiting. Like, in my eyes, they're waiting to be huge. Like, they're already there. They're at that level, and it's just a matter of time before, in my opinion, before they really, you know, are something on a big scale, right? And but there's still that whole attitude, and I think once we get past that, and once we stop, you know, paying firms out of Toronto to book like B-list American artists to play like Canada Day, like, you know, like Mariana's Trench, really, like, that's the best we could do.
There was a bunch of 14-year-old
do.
girls that showed up for that.
I'm sure they probably would have showed up to like
that.
virtually any band with males and guitars in it too. I don't think they're that picky. I'm not sure what their draw. I'm not sure what their draw was. You know, I'm pretty sure that I could think of a handful of bands who could have done a way better job and probably brought more people out. So it's just, I mean, I think it's changing for the better. I would like to think that it is, and like, you'd see a lot of bands coming out of here that are just doing really great things, and so I'm very optimistic about the future. But I just I'm really enthusiastic to pound home that attitude of, you know, we're here. Yeah, it's not only, we're not only not ashamed of being from Saskatchewan, we're proud to be from Saskatchewan. It's part of who we are, and that's the way it is, and we should embrace it, you know, instead of trying to sweep it under the rug.
I think while we're on just this topic in particular, this is what the Inside Regina Project is all about. I mean, this is what we're doing. We're trying to bring people like Scott in so that they can give the rest of their industry a voice, so that they can...
I definitely don't speak for the whole music industry.
Well, I know,
yeah,
but, you know, like, just on a very small scale, like we said, we can stop saying bad things about Saskatchewan and stop pretending that there's nothing going on here, and start exposing the people and the businesses that are doing really, really well and shaking things up for us.
No, for sure. And there's a lot of amazing things happening here, and I think we're gonna see that in like 5 years' time, and I think the demand for Saskatchewan music is only gonna go up from here. You know, I just don't see it doing anything else. Like, you just look at the talent, and you look at the success, you know, like Andy Schaaf, like, this guy's killing it, you know, and he's amazing, and he's from Regina.
Yeah.
Scott, where can we find you on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter? Like, do you have a page for your band and all that stuff?
So my solo project, Scott Pettigrew, you type that into Instagram, Facebook, whatever, Scott Pettigrew Music.
All right, Scott, do you want to tell us what you're giving away today? That's not the dog. The
Yeah.
dog is not the
No, I'm keeping your dog, that's for sure. But no, I'm going to give away, so we're going to give away 3 copies of my 2016 record, Alone. And one of these copies is also going to come with a Prairie Gold CD, which is my rock band, and a Prairie Gold t-shirt in whatever size you desire.
Can we win?
Can you guys win?
No, probably not. Hey?
Well, no. Unfortunately, you're gonna.
We're gonna like and share our stuff anyways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, and just in case anyone finds any value in it, I'll sign these too before I leave today.
Perfect.
Sign them now,
Perfect.
and when he's really famous, because he will be. He will be. You have to listen to his stuff to know it, and he's going to be a huge artist. These could be worth a lot of money someday.
Well, let's hope.
Okay, so to win the Scott Pettigrew albums, all you have to do is like the video, share our stuff, and comment that you did it, and we'll stick your name in a draw, and we will pick a name next week.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.